Hey guys, what up? Welcome to another episode of Nature, Knowledge and Coffee. And in today's video, guys, I want to talk about transformation or change. And what I have to say today is this, guys, is in order for us to change, in order for us to become something else, in order for us to transform, so changing or becoming something, we need to transform into that thing. And the way transformation works, guys, is like water, for example. Take water, for example, right? Water has a boiling point and it has a freezing point. So what happens when you boil water? It basically comes to boil. So when it hits a certain temperature, it comes to boil and then it becomes steam. And then the opposite is when we drop the temperature, it freezes and it becomes ice. So water is three things. Water is water at a stable state. Water is steam at a boiling point, and water is ice at a frozen point. So in order for us to change, in order for us to transform, we too need to expose ourselves to those extremes. Now, we all have different extremes, and where our extremes are set out, for example, we're either, our boiling point, everybody's different. So everybody has a different boiling point and everybody has a different freezing point. So we're no different to water, right? Matter of fact, we are mostly water. I don't know, I think it's like 60, 70, 80% of our body is water. So basically, in order for us to change, in order for us to transform, we have got to expose ourselves to those extreme temperatures, right? So we either need to drop the thermostat so low that we freeze and become ice, or we bring up the temperature and we boil and we become steam. Now, how do we do these, right? Here, for example, with me, it's heart rate. My heart rate, in order for me to get going, in order for me to take action, to transform, to become something else, my heart rate needs to get to a certain level. And that heart rate, is different to, to everybody else's heart rate. But I know that for me to actually take action so that I could transform and become something else, my heart rate needs to reach a certain point. And once my heart rate reaches that certain point, my whole being transforms. My whole psychology, the way I think, the way I talk, the way I act, because I keep saying it in every video, guys, the way we act comes down to the way we think, because the way we think affects our emotional state, which affects our feelings, which then affects our actions, right? So thoughts lead to emotions, lead to feelings, which then lead to action, and our action or our behavior creates our experience in life, which then feeds us another thought, and so on and so on. I'm not going to get back into it because I repeat it in every video, but it's very important that we understand that. So in order for me to change my thinking, my heart rate needs to get to a certain level. Now, because I train every day, because I'm constantly training and always subjecting myself to extremes every day, my fitness goes up, which means what used to get me to a certain heart rate, now I've got to expose myself to something a little bit more difficult or a little bit more extreme. And this is also evolution, guys. This is how we evolve as humans. Now, stable state, what happens to water when it's stable state? I mean, if water stays stationary, if water stays still, if it doesn't transform, if it doesn't become steam or doesn't become ice, what happens is it goes stale. And we're no different, is that if we're not constantly changing, if we're not constantly trying new things, if we're not constantly trying to become something different and exposing ourselves to different extremes, we become stale. Like water, we become stale, and then nothing happens. Nothing grows in stale water, just bacteria that causes disease. And that's exactly what happens in the human body, guys, is that if we're stale, if we're stagnant, if we're stationary, if we're not doing anything that is constantly subjecting us to new experiences, creating new thoughts, opening up different possibilities, we become stale. And when we become stale and stagnant, we become a perfect breeding environment for bacteria and disease. And that's why a lot of people get depressed and physically unable to do the things that they want to be doing. So my recommendation is to each and every day expose yourself to something extreme. We've got to create those extreme conditions. We've got to create those extreme conditions for ourselves so that we transform and actually take action. Now, there's from a survival point of view, from a primitive point of view, we've already got this inbuilt in us, right? Because before we evolved into what we are now, it was a survival thing, right? So if we're all of a sudden faced with a saber-toothed tiger or some animal. I don't know what people always refer to saber-toothed tigers. I think it's because that was the scariest animal at the time. But let's say we're subjected with a threatening situation. You don't even have to think about it. Your body just reacts. You just naturally react, and then you take action. Why? Because it's survival. You're trying to actually protect yourself. Now, in everyday life, we're not really faced with those situations all that often, so we need to actually create those situations for ourselves so that we take action. Because remember, stale water becomes a breeding environment for bacteria and disease, and we don't want to be like stale water. We want to transform. Every day we want to transform, and we want to grow stronger and become what we want to become. So get out there, guys, and expose yourself to some extreme conditions. I don't know, try and run and time yourself. Try and hold your breath for a long time. You know, you can start with the breathing exercise. Those that know Wim Hof, you know that he does a breathing exercise where he purposely tries to mimic death by holding his breath for as long as he can, because what that does is it sends a message to your brain that this is a life or death situation and we need to take action. So this is what we need to do in order for us to take. Because if you're just comfortable, if you're just cruising through life, if you're just, you know, you're either growing or you're dying. It's as simple as that. Because everything around us grows. Anything around us that's alive anyway either grows or gets older and dies. So we need to move with that. You know, we're either growing, because you can't stay the same. We're either growing or we're depreciating. So get out there, guys, and take some action. Get out there and expose yourself to an extreme situation once a day, once every 2 days, once a week, once a month even. But we need to really, because things only get better once they're broken. So in order for us to get better and stronger, we need to first break ourselves. That's how muscle grows. That's how our lung capacity grows. That's how bones heal stronger. You know, anything in life first needs to get broken before it heals stronger. And the only way we can break ourselves is if we expose ourselves to extreme condition, which sends a message to our brain to say, this is not good because I was in danger. And if this happens again, there's a possibility that I might die. So your brain has no option but to go to work and make you stronger in that area. And this is how growth happens, guys. This is how growth happens. So if you feel like you're not progressing, if you feel like you're not moving forward in life, if you feel like life's just stale and stagnant, get yourself outside of your comfort zone, because chances are you're in a comfort zone state and nothing grows in comfort zone. And if you're happy, hey, at the end of it, this is all about happiness. Ultimately, this is what this is about. It's ultimately about happiness. So if you're happy with where you're at, no need to take any of this in. But if you're not happy, guys, these are just some of the things that I do that help me on a daily basis to improve, to try and move forward, to try and progress. Am I ever going to get to the person that I want to be? Probably not. But do I love the chase? Bloody oath. I'd rather the chase than not having anything to chase at all. That's why I'm constantly on the hunt. That's why I'm constantly on the chase, because it gives me something to look forward to each and every day. When I wake up, I've got something to go and chase. It makes life interesting. And you can do this in any environment, regardless of what's happening in the external world, regardless of what's happening around us, guys, regardless of what's going on with all this COVID shit that's going on. You know, we can still find a way to challenge ourselves. We just got to understand these concepts. And when we understand these concepts and we have this knowledge, then we can take action in any situation and improve ourselves on a daily basis, guys. So if you've been watching this long, awesome. I hope you picked up something out of this video. But yeah, purely to inspire you to take action, become a greater version of self, because I really don't have anything that I can achieve out of the weaker version of who you are. You know, when you're being the true self, when you're being a higher version of who you are, you've got a lot more to offer people and humanity than not. I have no interest in dealing with the weaker version of people. I only want to deal with the higher version of people, because only then do we all stand to benefit from each other, guys. So thanks for watching. Until next video, guys, JY the Catalyst. Always to inspire, never to impress. Making change or making positive change happen. Peace out.